Joining us now, Florida Congressman Byron Donalds. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us. Talk to us about what's going on now in your state. This is distressing footage.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. It is distressing. Right now, our search and rescue teams are out doing just that. We have our first responders are on the ground moving through the district as quickly as they can to, number one, assess damage, help people, and figure out what needs to be repaired immediately. The thing that comes top of mind is that there's no potable water available in Lee County, Florida. So our crews are working double time to try to get the water back up as quickly as we can. The electrical grid is going to need some major repairs. Early estimates are it's going to take a few weeks to get the grid completely back up online, because we're not just talking about reattaching down lines. I mean, there's really parts of the grid that have to be reconstructed. Obviously, people have seen today the pictures of the Sanibel Causeway, which has been just obliterated by this storm. And then, of course, we do have some elements of property damage, which you just were showing on the shots previously.
And Congressman, we've got flash flood warnings still in effect across parts of Florida. I mean, tornadoes were spun off. Boats and small aircraft were tossed around like toys. To your point, bridges were severed and dozens of hospitals and nursing homes evacuated. Your response to the president declaring it a major disaster, it's going to ramp up more assistance, right?
Well, I think it's the right call from the president to go ahead and move quickly, because communities are definitely going to need aid. People are going to need aid. We haven't even gotten to the part where individuals are going to start making their claims to FEMA for direct assistance. So that is going to be needed. We're going to need, obviously, district-wide, county-wide assistance. The state is going to need assistance, obviously, here in Southwest Florida, but through other parts of the state that are experiencing flash flooding right now.
Yeah, many are without flood insurance. They don't have flood insurance, so they have to use their own savings to rebuild. Is that what you're hearing too?
It's really early to tell where that's coming from. The one thing I'll tell you is, with the flash flooding, the storm surge that we saw anywhere from 3.5 feet to 18 feet, if your home was fully paid for, there isn't the requirement to carry flood. If that's the case, then yes, you have to use your savings to rebuild, which puts a major burden on some homeowners in Southwest Florida.
To your point, this is the danger zone. More than 8 out of 10 deaths during these storms like this, they come from flooding. You know, cars start to float in just about 3 feet of water. We're seeing images, many clinging to rooftops, many realizing the only way out were paddleboards, surfboards, jet skis. Let's watch Governor DeSantis and President Biden discuss the severity of Ian. Watch this.
The amount of water that's been rising and will likely continue to rise today, even as the storm is passing, is basically a 500-year flood event. This storm is having broad impacts across the state, and some of the flooding you're going to see in areas hundreds of miles from where this made landfall are going to set records.
This could be the deadliest hurricane in Florida's history. The numbers are still unclear, but we're hearing early reports of what may be substantial loss of life.
Your reaction to that?
I don't disagree with anything that the president or the governor just told you. The loss of life estimates, there's still a lot of work to be done, so I don't want to get ahead of our first responders who are doing that work right now. But when you have flooding like this, the primary concern is loss of life. But like I told you, Elizabeth, that is the work that's happening right now. We have people on the ground going structure to structure. Number one, trying to ascertain the residents who stayed behind and decided to hunker down, getting them to safety. And then at the same time, we're trying to figure out the broad infrastructure that's needed to sustain any community: water, electricity, sewer lines, making sure that stuff is all intact. And then you get into the house by house rebuilding as it's needed.
Congressman Donalds, thanks for joining us. We want to stay on the story. We want to keep reporting on what Florida needs now to rebuild. Congressman Donalds, thanks again for spending time with us. It's good to have you on.